Early 20th century mattresses sat at the center of daily survival. Sleep was not a luxury add-on, it was physical recovery after labor. Mattresses were built to support bodies that worked fields, factories, and workshops. They were simple in appearance, yet deliberate in construction. Every material choice reflected availability, durability, and repairability. You are looking at a sleep system designed for decades of use, not quick replacement. Most mattresses of this period relied on natural fill. Horsehair dominated higher quality beds. It breathed well, resisted matting, and could be cleaned and refluffed. Lower cost options used straw, corn husks, or cotton batting. These materials compressed over time, which forced regular maintenance. Mattresses were opened, aired, and restuffed. This created a direct relationship between the sleeper and the bed. You knew its condition by feel alone. Springs entered common use by the early 1900s, yet they were nothing like modern pocket coils. These were tied steel springs arranged in rows, then hand-laced together with twine. The goal was even support, not softness. Springs reduced moisture buildup and lifted the body off cold air trapped near the floor. Beds no longer felt damp in winter. Mattress ticking mattered. Heavy cotton or linen covers protected the fill from shifting. Ticking stripes were woven tight to resist tearing. A ripped cover meant lost fill and uneven support. Many households sewed their own replacements. This turned bedding into a repairable household object, not a sealed product. Bedding layers worked together as a system. The mattress alone did not create comfort. Quilted mattress pads added insulation and reduced wear. Wool blankets sat beneath sheets to trap warmth. Feather beds sometimes rested on top for those who could afford them. Each layer served a job. Remove one and, well, sleep quality dropped. Pillows followed the same logic. Feather and down-filled ticking sacks were standard. They compressed under the head and rebounded slowly. This supported the neck without lifting it too high. Pillows were aired daily to remove moisture. Sunlight killed odors and pests. Modern sealed pillows remove this daily care step. Bed frames mattered as much as mattresses. Iron frames replaced wood in many homes. Iron resisted insects and held weight evenly. Rope beds still existed in rural areas, yet slats and metal grids gained favor. A sagging frame ruined even a good mattress. Maintenance involved tightening bolts or relacing ropes. Sheets back then were, well, pretty coarse by modern standards. Cotton percale and linen were the main choices. They felt cool to the touch and just a bit textured, which actually helped cut down on sweat buildup at night. Folks washed their sheets often and always dried them outdoors. Over the years, the fabric would soften up real nice. Now, thin sheets tended to tear quick, so most households really valued those heavier weaves. The way you set up a room could really shape how well you slept. Beds were usually kept away from the outside walls to keep out the cold. Even in winter, windows got cracked open a bit to let the air flow through. Heavy curtains were used to block out drafts, but they'd get pulled back during the day to air out the room. Sleep happened in a space folks controlled with habits and routines, not with electronics or anything fancy. Walls and floors played a big role in keeping things warm. Plaster walls, for example, held heat a whole lot better than just bare boards. Rugs were used to insulate floors and cut down on cold air rising up. Bedrooms that were above ground level tended to stay drier too. Details like these mattered since old mattresses needed to breathe. If a room stayed too damp, it could mess up the mattress fill and even invite mold. So, nighttime routines protected the bedding, you know. Boots always stayed outside the sleeping space. Clothes were brushed off before bed, and folks made sure to clean themselves to cut down on oils soaking into the fabric. Beds were made real tight every morning to help them keep their shape. Mattresses got rotated about once a month to keep them from getting dips. These habits, well, they could make a mattress last over 20 years. Sound and smell shaped sleep, you know. Natural materials absorbed noise. Iron frames, well, they creaked, but that just signaled movement rather than masking it. Wool and cotton carried clean scents after a good airing in the sun. Chemical odors, they just did not exist. Sleep happened in quiet darkness, broken only by the wind or maybe a distant animal now and then. Modern applicability, it really stands out for anyone preparing for long-term disruption. Natural mattresses require no electricity, no factory supply chain, and no proprietary parts. They can be repaired with local materials, which is mighty handy. They breathe in hot climates and insulate in cold ones. Springs can be salvaged, fill can be replaced, covers can be sewn. Comfort before modern foam, well, it depended on balance, not just softness. Support kept the spine level. Breathability prevented sweat pooling. Maintenance replaced disposability. These beds demanded attention, yet they returned deeper rest. You can apply this today by choosing breathable materials, rotating bedding, and avoiding sealed foam systems that trap heat and fail fast. The takeaway is direct. Sleep systems built before modern foam favored durability, control, and repair. These principles still work, plain and simple. Strip sleep back to function, and the body responds. If this breakdown sharpened your understanding, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles and share this with someone rebuilding self-reliance. Better sleep strengthens every survival skill.